Well, as we all know, the governor of Abia State paid a visit to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of indigenous people of Biafra. But then, something is currently happening. Since that time, there's been some sort of news, or should I say information, we are yet to actually get from the governor himself as regards to that particular visit. And that's why I'm making this video, because there are some discussions between Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and alexotti. So the aim of this video actually is to share with you the important information, the important discussion the governor of Abia State had with Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, especially when he told him that the Biafra that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is actually fighting for is quietly different from what Ojukwu, the great Ojukwu fought for. So let's listen to the governor, then we dive into our analysis.
Going to see him is the right thing to do because he comes from my state. But I come from this local government. Yes, and there are always ways to solve a problem. I don't believe that the way to solve a problem is to ignore it. And I have written extensively, even about Nnamdi Kanu and Operation Python Dam. I think in 2017 or 2018, and I condemned it. And I still condemn it. And some of the recordings that the gentleman put in his video, I cannot vouch for the veracity of that recording, where he said Nnamdi Kanu or mutiny or I don't know. But then, I do know that two wrongs do not make a right. I also do know that when an issue has been approached from the legal point of view, there is also another window called the administrative point of view. And that's where I'm coming from. I'm not even competent to disagree with the judiciary. I'm not a lawyer. And if the judiciary says the man has been condemned to life imprisonment, that is the judiciary. But that is not the end, because that's the court of first instance. There is still an opportunity to appeal, and then an opportunity to even go to the Supreme Court. Okay? But what we are trying to do is to intervene. That does not mean I'm not a supporter of the disintegration of Nigeria. The first time I met Nnamdi Kanu in 2018, I told you that the Biafra is fighting for is different from Ojukwu's Biafra. Those of you who are old enough will remember Okokonde. Okokonde was not from the southeast, he was from the present Akwa. Joa Tuesday was from the present Elder State, I believe. And all those states today will not be part of Biafra even if you achieve Biafra. So you just have five eastern states. And all of us here are itinerant people. Most of my personal investment are outside Abia. And I know it's the same for a lot of people. So if you are telling us that we need a visa to go to Lagos, I will say, tell you no. But those are different issues. And I believe that we can always sit down, discuss, negotiate. We must not all agree. But if you come with superior argument, somebody who didn't agree with you may begin to agree with you. Always heard the view that it's better to sit down across the table and discuss rather than go to war. And I've never seen any war that didn't end on the negotiation table. So my question is, why do you need to go to war if you know you will end at the negotiation table? When Russia hit Zelensky's Ukraine, I'm sure they would have thought that this war would have been over in maybe 1 month. But we know how many years it's been. People are dying every day, living in fear. Go and mark somewhere. At the end of the day, that war will end negotiation table. So I'm an apostle of the negotiation table rather than the war that will still end at the negotiation table. So my position is that it would be insensitive of me to sit here and say one of our own who has been convicted should die when we have an opportunity to discuss, negotiate, and sue for peace. So that is my position. So the gentleman has shared the video. He said, you also said that you don't believe that it's good that I hear what people are saying. And I heard. But I think he was coming from the wrong premise. And we will continue to do whatever is possible to ensure that we have peace in the state. If you go to some other parts of the country, you can't come out by this kind of time. And it's not right. And I also do know, just like I told the people I'm negotiating, that a lot of people take advantage of this situation to now visit violence on the people. They take advantage of it. And I believe that if we have peace here, anybody that we meet the person with violence, we meet him in the government. But then we need to do what we need to do as a responsible government.
Onye ọbụla bụ onye iro ndị Igbo na-set up anything that will stop the release of Nnamdi Kanu, Chileke kpọọ gị ọkụ. Onye ọbụla bụ onye Igbo, icheri eche. Ị na-agba agba arụpụ. Ị na-eme ka ije na presidency na-agwa ha ihe ọzọ. Ị na-etinye ị na-ewepụ ewepụ. Ka hapụ ịtọhapụ Nnamdi Kanu. Igwe kalụ ụmụ na ọha gbuo ogu. Amadi ọha gbuo ogu. Arụsị ọgbaga gbuo ogu. Arụsị ọkụzụ gbuo ogu. Arụsị ọkịja gbuo ogu. Arụsị enwere n'ala Igbo gbuo ogu. Okike abịa ma kpọọ gị ọkụ. Alexotti amụọ nwoke si bụrụ nwoke. Alexotti bụ nwoke. Alexotti bụ nwoke. He has shown capacity. Capacity abụghị na Igbo wuli izuzu gị mgbe ọbụla na-efegharị n'akụkụ ndị mba, na-efegharị n'akụkụ ndị ugwu, na-achọ favor, na-achọ appointment. Rụọ ọrụ gị as a leader of ndị Igbo, you ga-arụ, you are a personalized selfish entity. Unu chere ya ma ihe unu chọrọ ime yesterday. Unu na-use ndị bandits eme attack advanced team. Unu chere ya ma anyị macha ihe niile unu na-arụ. All of you people. Unu niile na-achọ ha ka atọhapụ Nnamdi Kanu. Onye ọbụla kwutere okwu ịtọhapụ Nnamdi Kanu, unu emewe ya attack. Chileke gbuo ogu. Chileke gbuo ogu. Na wela. Amụọ nwoke si ya bụrụ nwoke. Bọsa amụkwara ndị dike na mba ka amụrụ ibie. Akụkata aka n'obi egosi ndị mmụọ ebe ndụ mmadụ. Ọgụnụdụ. Maka na ebe nwatakịrị na-ebe akwa atụ aka ma nne ya nọ ebe ahụ, nna ya nọrọ ebe ahụ. Maka na okenye ada nọ n'ụlọ ewu amụọ n'ọgbụrụ. Ekenekwa ngo Alexotti aka na chi steeti Abia His Excellency. Ekenekwa ngo dimba ka Igbo, dimba nasa.
Really sorry for those of you that cannot understand Igbo, can't link it an interpreter. He wasn't actually saying much. He was basically praising Alexotti for paying visit to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in Sokoto prison, and there are some other words he actually incorporated, but because of YouTube policy, we cannot be able to say the things he is actually saying. Though in summary, he's actually laying curses to those that wish Mazi Nnamdi Kanu not to be released. So, talking about this very visit by Alexotti to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, let's dive deep into what I believe that this very visit could mean to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the Igbo cause, and of course, the Biafra saga. Well, when the Abia State Governor, Dr. Alex Chioma Otti, walked into the Sokoto Correctional Center to see Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the detained leader of indigenous people of Biafra, it triggered applause in some quarters and anger in others. Supporters held it as courage. Critics dismissed it as political drama. Hardliners on both sides saw betrayal. But beyond the noise, this visit exposed the biggest truth Igbo politics has struggled to confront. The Biafra question is no longer just emotional, it is deeply political, legal, and geopolitical. Now, according to Alexotti on his position, he said he visited Mazi Nnamdi Kanu not for politics, not for ambition, not for popularity, but because peace and dialogue are unavoidable. More importantly, Otti made 3 statements that matter. First, he does not support Nigeria's disintegration. Secondly, he respects the court process, even if imperfect. Thirdly, the problem must be solved politically, not militarily. Now, this is not a revolutionary position, but it is one many Igbo leaders quietly hold and rarely say aloud. Why? Because truth is always risky in a polarized struggle. And that led us to the hard reality many Igbo leaders avoid. First, the Biafra map problem. According to Alexotti, he told Mazi Nnamdi Kanu something most leaders won't say openly. Your Biafra is not Ojukwu's Biafra. This is painful truth. In the 1960s, Biafra had Southeast plus part of South-South, or should I say South-South. Leaders like Philip F. Young represented broader regional buy-in. Today, many South-South states do not support secession. Oil-producing elites have negotiated comfort within Nigeria. The political unity that once existed is gone. A Biafra made up of only 5 Southeast states raises serious questions. First, economic viability. Secondly, territorial legitimacy. And third, international recognition. This is not an insult. It is a geopolitical reality. Then another reality is that the international community is not waiting. Many activists believe the world is watching and waiting. Is that the truth? The world is watching but not intervening. No major power supports Biafra secession today. Global politics favors stability over justice. Without a regional elite, clear territorial consensus, diplomatic backing, no secession movement succeeds. This is the part many leaders won't say because it sounds like betrayal, but it is strategic honesty. Then another reality is that war has never worked for the Igbos. The Alexotti's insistence on the roundtable dialogue is not weakness. History shows that the civil war devastated the Igbo economy. Post-war reconciliation never fully happened. In fact, it has never happened. Armed confrontation today only justifies militarization of the region. Every sit at home, every clash, every attack weakens Igbo business. A lot of innocent people are being killed. This war activities also drives investments away, and also it gives the federal government morale to actually cover to ignore dialogue. And seriously speaking, emotion fuels resistance, but strategy wins concession. And here are the things many Igbo political leaders get wrong. Most Igbo politicians commit one of 2 mistakes. First, silence out of fear. Afraid of being labeled sellouts, afraid of losing popular support. Secondly, performative sympathy, publicly praising Nnamdi Kanu, privately avoiding real political engagement. This leaves Nnamdi Kanu symbolically powerful, politically isolated, and strategically trapped. Alexotti's visit broke this very pattern, not by agreeing with everything Nnamdi Kanu stands for, but by reintroducing dialogue. It's not as if most of these Igbo politicians do not know what the real problem is or the solution. They are fully aware, and this is me reminding them what they can do if I thought they don't know. First, political negotiation, not courtroom drama. Court alone will not solve this, and it will never. Political settlements often come outside judgment. Secondly, conditional de-escalation, reduction of tension in the southeast, less militarization, fewer confrontation. Thirdly, regional political unity, governors, traditional rulers, business elites speaking with one voice. One coordinated voice. Redefining the Igbo struggle from exit Nigeria to true federalism, resource control, security autonomy, economic restructuring. These demands attract more national and international sympathy than outright secession. What Alexotti is quietly warning is, when he says the way to solve the problem is not to ignore it, he is issuing a warning. Ignored grievances become radicalized. Radicalization invites repression. Repression kills dialogue, and dialogue delayed becomes generational bitterness. Alexotti's message to the Igbo political class is very clear. You can't outsource leadership to activists alone. You can't criminalize a political problem forever. And you can't build a future on silence. You also need to understand this. Even after the speech ended, reactions continue to ripple across the political and social lines. Within the Southeast, opinions quickly split. Some Igbo elders quietly welcomed the visit, seeing it as a long overdue act of responsibility by an elected governor who understands that unresolved injustice only deepens alienation. Others, particularly younger activists and hardline supporters of IPOB, accused alexotti of normalizing detention of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu rather than demanding unconditional release, a reflection of the deep mistrust that has grown between the streets and the political class. In political circles, however, the reaction was more restrained. Sources within the mainstream parties described the visit as inevitable but risky, noting that no governor can truly claim to be working for regional stability while avoiding the most symbolic crisis facing the Southeast. At the federal level, the response was cautious silence, no condemnation, no endorsement, a silence that suggests Abuja is watching to see whether dialogue will reduce tension or expose further fractures within Igbo leadership. Civil society voices also weighed in, with some legal analysts arguing that while courts determine legality, political leadership determines peace, and that history is filled with conflict resolved outside strict judicial outcomes. Across social media, the debate turned emotional. Supporters praised Otti for speaking sense. If dialogue is wrong, then what exactly is the alternative? As it is, peace is not surrender. Dialogue is not betrayal. Reality is not cowardice. Alexotti's visit did not solve the Nnamdi Kanu's problem, but it reopened a door many leaders shut out of fear. The Igbo cause will not be resolved by emotion alone. It will not be resolved by denial. And it will not be resolved by pretending the world has not changed since 1967. The real question now is, will Igbo leaders choose honesty over applause? And will dialogue finally replace war theater? Because history shows us one thing clearly. Every conflict that ended well ended at a round table, not on battlefield. And that is why long after the cameras are gone, after the reaction fade and the argument die down, one truth remain: the Nnamdi Kanu question is not going away, not by court orders alone, not by silence, and not by force. So Alexotti's visit may be debated today, but tomorrow it will be highly remembered as a reminder that leadership sometimes means stepping into uncomfortable spaces, not to please everyone, but to prevent tomorrow's crisis. Many of you do not understand what it really means for Alexotti to, go to Sokoto. That sends a very huge political message. The future of Igbo struggle will not be decided by who shouts the loudest on social media. No, and beyond old templates that no longer fit today's realities. And for those Igbo political leaders, history is watching quietly, and beneath all the arguments lies a shared anxiety, fear of another lost generation. Markets disrupted, businesses leaving, youth catch up between anger and hopelessness. For many that truly understand, Alexotti's visit to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was not about endorsement or rejection of Biafra, but about acknowledging pain without inflaming it. Whether this moment becomes a turning point or just another missed opportunity will depend not on one governor, but on whether Igbo political leaders finally move from symbolic gestures to coordinated actions with one voice. Because silence may be politically safe, but history shows it is often the most expensive option of all. So my people, that comes an end to this very video. If you found this analysis insightful, don't forget to smash the subscribe button, and of course subscribe. Turn on the notification so you'd always get notified each time we drop new episode. And please don't forget to share with us what is your opinion as regards to this particular visit by Alexotti. Your comment is our backbone. Let's understand your opinion. It's highly important. And most importantly, do not forget to like and share this video so it would get to more audience. Thank you for watching. See you in the next episode.